about flying and stuff. Shoot some hoops. Check out some birds. No need to stress about getting lost. There's a map. There's parks. Catch a fish. It even talks about the beach. This brochure has everything you need to know about the town of Kitty Hawk. Download the brochure at kittyhawknc.gov.
The water is what brought us here. It's our way of life, our playground. The water is what keeps us coming back. Find your calm at visitcurrituck.com.
Oh, Santa here. Do you know that the Christmas Shop and General Store has the largest display of Christmas gifts and ornaments in the Outer Banks? Nutcrackers, collectible Santas, snow and Christmas trees, personalized ornaments, and so much more. A room full of gifts that remind you of your pets. A nativity display that'll blow you away. It's surely a destination that brings joy to so many. We can't wait to see you at the Christmas Shop and General Store.
Let's talk quality. Benchmade quality from American hardwoods and handcrafted in the USA. That's the Benchmade collection from Bassett, exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture. Each piece is meticulously crafted from Appalachian maple, cherry, or oak, and made to order one at a time by American artisans in Bassett, Virginia. From a live edge table to a sharp modern edge, Benchmade has your look. Find the Benchmade collection from Bassett exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture, Milepost 1 in Kitty Hawk.
Yo, what's up? Yeah, Cyrus. What? Oh, Benny! Benny just got, oh my God.
There's more to the story at rawobx.com.
Hi, my name's Emily Lewis. I'm an invertebrate biologist here at the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island, and I take care of our jellyfish collection. So we have several species of jellyfish. Most of them are local and found around North Carolina waters. We do have some species that are found in different parts of the world though, such as our spotted lagoon jellies. Those are found off the east coast of Japan. We have something called moon jellies. They're commonly seen around here. They're clear and they have sort of a four-leaf clover shape in the center of their bell or body. And those are actually 4 different stomach pouches. We also have something here called nettles, typically Atlantic nettles, and those are the ones that you're gonna run into at the beach that are gonna have those really long tentacles and can sometimes sting you. They use their tentacles for basically hunting and grabbing onto their prey. They have 2 different kinds of tentacles. Those tentacles range from being mildly stinging and kind of sticky to just sort of run into food and obtain it that way, versus very powerful stinging tentacles that can grab onto larger prey items like small fish. At the aquarium, we can't give them the full variety of what they would be eating in the wild, and so we do a couple of different food items. The first is we raise something called brine shrimp, and we hatch it out from its egg form, we call it cis, and we hatch it out overnight, and those one-day-old brine shrimp, we can actually feed whatever vitamins or nutritious algae we want, and in that way we can sort of pass on whatever nutrition we need to get into the jellies. Jellyfish are kind of free-floating, and they're technically considered to be something called plankton, so they don't have a lot of control over where they are in their environment. They kind of just get swept with the tides. And so for keeping jellyfish in an aquarium setting, we actually have to make specially designed tanks where we actually recreate what would be the tide or the current. And we have several different kinds of tanks depending on the species of jellyfish. One of the most common is something called a chrysal, but it's basically just a long rectangular tank that's very narrow with the corners cut out at the bottom, and that allows us to move the jellyfish around in a circle without damaging them. The moon jellies are in a cylindrical shaped tank, and that tank basically works by providing flow at the bottom, and we sort of have to balance the water just perfectly, and when we do that we can kind of get the jellyfish to float up in the main water column of that cylinder. They have a few roles in the ecosystem, but they're definitely food items for a lot of different animals. For instance, sea turtles consume them, a lot of larval fish consume them. There's a few different kind of animals that eat jellyfish. They also sort of play an important role as far as mitigating various other species in the wild. They sort of arrive in large blooms and they keep other animals' populations under control. We actually have highly purified water that we use here, and we make all of our own salt water by hand. Basically, jellyfish, their bodies are mostly made out of water, and so any changes that we might create in the quality of their water is going to have a big impact on them. Things like changes in temperature or salinity that might not be that big of a deal to, let's say, a fish is going to be a real big deal to a jellyfish because their bodies are almost all water. Come learn more about jellyfish here at the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. Thanks so much for watching.
Discover the Dovetail Collection by Vaughn Bassett exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture. Made in the Virginia mountains using solid American white oak, Dovetail wood joinery dates back thousands of years. The collection is designed for those who appreciate the natural look of reclaimed wood with its cracks, knots, and bold grain patterns. Each piece is available in 3 finishes and is meticulously crafted for exceptional strength to give you long-lasting beauty. Find the Dovetail Collection from Vaughn Bassett exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture, Milepost 1 in Kitty Hawk.
Whether you're here for a week or one long weekend, explore nature surrounded by the ocean and beside the ones you love. Welcome to the Currituck Outer Banks.
The Wright Brothers National Memorial is an icon of the Outer Banks, known the world over as the location where Wilbur and Orville Wright proved that powered flight was possible. The National Memorial tells of the final chapter in the Wright brothers' experiments in flight. But on Moorshore Road in Kitty Hawk, there is another monument to Wilbur and Orville Wright's time on the Outer Banks. It is not as well known, for the Moorshore Road Memorial marker tells the beginning of the tale. On this spot, September 17, 1900, Wilbur Wright began the assembly of the Wright brothers' first experimental glider, which led to man's conquest of the air, erected by the citizens of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, 1928. The original marker was relocated to the Kitty Hawk Town Hall in 1989 due to fire and weather damage, and a duplicate was put back in its exact place. The Wright Brothers National Memorial was an historic undertaking, marking the 25th anniversary of one of the extraordinary achievements in human history. The Moore Shore Road marker is a tribute to the citizens of Kitty Hawk and their determination to tell the world of their town's contribution. In 1985, Elijah Tate, the son of Bill and Addie Tate, the couple that hosted the Wright brothers when they arrived on the Outer Banks, told the story of the smaller monument to the Kitty Hawk Town Council.
My father was connected with the Wrights, and they lived in our house. They came to our house, and they never lived anywhere else except our house during that first year that they were here. That inscription that was put on there was corrected by the Wrights. Dad sent that to the Wrights in Dayton, and they changed one word and sent it back to him as okay. It was paid for by the people of Kitty Hawk. Now, some they paid $5 and some 25 cents, but those were hard times. 25 cents was very good then. So it was all paid for and dedicated, and my nephew unveiled it, and that was Elmer Woodward Jr.
Kitty Hawk of 1900 was nothing like the thriving town it is today. Approximately 300 residents were scattered around Kitty Hawk Bay. The only people living on the ocean side were at the Kitty Hawk Life Saving Station and John Dosher of the U.S. Weather Station. They were the only residents with regular employment. Everyone else earned what little they could from fishing, hunting, and farming. The legacy of the Wright brothers can be seen all over Kitty Hawk, from the site on Moore Shore Road, where they assembled the first gliders, the Kitty Hawk Life Saving Station, where they first telegraphed the news, streets and trails dedicated to their honor, and the monument to a century of flight. Kitty Hawk is proud to share in the global significance of the work of the Wright brothers.
Better sleep means a better life. That's why Outer Banks Furniture offers Simply Luxe from Mattress Grove. Luxurious handcrafted sleeping comfort that's made in America. Simply Luxe gives you pressure-relieving layers, temperature-regulating airflow, spinal-aligning back support with 5 unique support feels for ultimate comfort. Start sleeping better today. Simply Luxe goes the extra mile to hand-tuft many of its models for unparalleled support and durability. Find the complete collection of Simply Luxe mattresses at Outer Banks Furniture, Milepost 1 in Kitty Hawk.
Capacity to explore a passion while learning from the greatest to ever do it. Reliability to make those who are far away feel like they never left. Speeds for fueling moments of discovery while sparking curiosity. It's not just internet, it's a gateway to opportunities you never even knew existed. Ripple Fiber, multiplying potential for you, your family, and the community.
Some people say the Outer Banks has the best fishing spots. Some people talk too much. The Outer Banks of North Carolina, conveniently located just beyond compare.
Jewelry by Gail is celebrating its 47th anniversary this year. In loving memory of Gail Kowalski, this hidden gem is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5. A shop that has something for everyone, featuring Gail's signature styles, all types of gorgeous jewelry, men's rings, a unique bridal section where you can build your own engagement ring, the Outer Banks' largest pearl selection, and so much more. Come find the perfect look for that special someone at Jewelry by Gail in Nags Head.
Treasure memories in Corolla Outer Banks. Go to CorollaNC.com.
The ocean off the Outer Banks of North Carolina has long been referred to as the graveyard of the Atlantic. There are literally thousands of shipwrecks up and down the coastline. Shifting sands and rough sea conditions has carved a reputation in our coastal history as a body of water that must be respected, even by the most seasoned watermen. Because of the geographic location of the Outer Banks, there's always been a need for a life-saving service. Since 1850, there have been men and women protecting our coast, serving as lifesavers, lighthouse keepers, and watchmen. That tradition in Dare County still stands to this day.
My name is Bree Young. I am a surf instructor, a surfer, and a lifeguard here in Kill Devil Hills. I was born and raised in Kitty Hawk, so growing up, the ocean was my playground. Swimming in the ocean, surfing, fishing. We're surrounded by water. It's part of who you are, and it's part of your makeup. When I was in high school, I did the swim team, and my boss was the swim coach at the time, and he talked me into lifeguarding, and that definitely changed my life, and it taught me a lot of responsibility. And I earned a whole new respect for the ocean. It's a lot of physical work, it's a lot of mental work. You deal with water calls to medical calls on the beach to public service calls, but I loved the fact that I could take my local knowledge of what I knew of the ocean growing up here and use that to help other people.
My name is Jacob Bolden. I'm from Stafford, Virginia, and I've been with Hatteras Island Rescue Squad for 3 years now. I do what I do because I love saving lives. Ever since a little kid, I was asking my grandpa all about accidents and how do you save somebody. So ever since I was little, I've loved being able to help people. Every day is a new day here at Hatteras Island Rescue Squad and the beaches, and it's a different experience, but having a fun time while doing it. One of the best ways to keep people safe is being well prepared. We do a lot of preparation. We have water rescue training every Sunday. We prep the skis before going out, making sure they're running, make sure all of our equipment's ready to go in the truck so that if we do get a call, when we get out there, we don't have any hiccups.
My name is David Elder. I've been a lifeguard in the Outer Banks for 25 years. I came down here for a weekend in 1991 and I stayed. This job is about relationships. Everybody you meet on the beach, they come here for their time on the sand. And the best thing I can do is to make that time in the sand as comfortable as possible, sprinkle a little of information in there and make it safe.
We have 90 miles of coastline here in the Outer Banks. It's very hard to patrol all of it and keeping everybody safe. So in the areas where somebody's not patrolling, it's very important to use good judgment and common sense on those rougher days, not going out into the water.
When we get visitors on the Outer Banks, they don't realize this beach community is slightly different from other communities because we have a little bit more raw power coming from the ocean. One of the things that people very often are looking for is they're looking for a safe spot on the beach. And a safe spot on the beach to most people is an area where their waves are not breaking. That happens to be one of the more dangerous areas on the beach because that is an area where there isn't a sandbar protecting your beach. That is an area where rip currents are likely, where shore break is more of a situation.
Rip currents are dangerous because people don't know what they are. So a rip current is basically a hole in the sandbar. The waves break over the sandbar and they need a way to filter back out to the sea, so they create this channel. Rip currents are dangerous because people will get stuck in them and try to fight and swim right back through them, and they get exhausted. They lose their energy and they start to panic. The best thing to do if you find yourself caught in a rip current is just to relax, and you let the rip current take you out, and then you swim parallel to where the waves are breaking to get back on the sandbar. Then you'll let the waves take you back to shore.
My name's Nathan Loudermilk. I'm a surfer and fisherman from the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and I'm a lifeguard here for Kill Devil Hills Ocean Rescue. This is my 9th year. I really like being on the beach. I know a lot about swell, and I just like working in an environment where you are comfortable with. Shore break is normally when we deal with a high tide, all that water is gonna fill up the sandbar and you won't have that shallow bar out there.
The reason that's an issue is every gallon of water weighs nearly 7 pounds. stack all those gallons of water up behind you in the position of a wave. That's what's going to be forcing you into the bottom.
And that's where we'll get our neck injuries or people hurting their back, because those waves aren't going to break farther off. They're going to wait until they hit the shore with all that power. Always keep your eye on the waves coming in. Never turn your back on shore break.
And be mindful of the incoming waves. When in the water, play the over-under game. Little wave, we go over. Large wave, we go under.
Lastly, maybe most importantly, is knowing your limits. Understanding your physical abilities, knowing what conditions you can handle, and if you're beyond your capabilities, stay out of the water.
You know yourself more than anyone. You know your physical limits that you have, so just use common sense and good judgment when going out in the ocean.
When the life-saving service was created in 1871, they did it because of their willingness to put themselves in a position to save a life. In life-saving, it's a lot about physical stamina. Well, thankfully, we see that in the young adults today. They're going through a training regimen of calisthenics, running, swimming, water rescue reenactments to make them more comfortable with a rescue.
Training is a massive part of our job. It's really important to put ourselves in physical and mental stress during training so that when an emergency happens, we're ready to respond and we're there professional and we know exactly what to do.
This Outer Banks family of lifeguards that I live with and work with, a good day or a bad day, they come running for each other. Whether we work together directly, we always have each other's back.
The ultimate goal as a lifeguard here, our perfect day, is for everyone on the beach to be happy, to be well informed of the conditions, and to have a fun, safe vacation.
Text OBX Beach Conditions to 77295 to sign up for daily beach forecast and condition reports. For terms of service and privacy policy, visit obxalerts.com.
Welcome to Jeanette's Pier, the family fishing spot on the Outer Banks. Make memories for a lifetime while reeling in the catch of the day. From bottom fishing for spot and croaker to jigging for bluefish and Spanish mackerel, experience the thrill of catching a fish from this 1,000-foot-long concrete ocean fishing pier located at milepost 16.5 in Nags Head. Have fun in the sun while fishing with your friends and family. Surf, sun, fish, and fun. Experience it all at Jeanette's Pier, where fishing is catching.
Santa here again with the Christmas shop and general store. You know, the general store has long been a favorite destination within our shop. You'll find favorites like candies and fudge, Heights chocolates, and ready-made Bavarian nuts. Plus, we offer a wide selection of made in North Carolina items, old-time candy, sodas, and more. And our wine section has an even larger selection than last year. With more wine tasting opportunities, it's all part of the experience at the Christmas shop and general store.
What lies beneath the surface? The waters of the Outer Banks share their secrets, one cast at a time. Total relaxation, absolute exhilaration. The Outer Banks of North Carolina, a chain of barrier islands shaped by wind and water, connected by the elements, just open spaces and endless possibilities.
Hi, my name is Megan Pauls. I am the chef and owner here at Mike Diana's Grill Room, located in Corolla, North Carolina. And today I'm going to make our North Carolina style key lime pie. Most people come here in the summer, so it's nice and light. It's a cool dessert, and it's North Carolina style. It doesn't have, a lot of them have that big meringue topping on top, or they use a different key lime juice that's bright green. This is, just our way of doing it, and it's a good summertime dessert. So what you need for the key lime pie is graham cracker pie shell crust, 12 ounces of softened cream cheese. You'll use 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. You'll use the zest of 2 limes, a cup of key lime juice, and a cup of heavy whipping cream. First thing you're going to want to do is cook your pie shell crust, 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes. Then you will take your softened cream cheese and you'll put that in the Robocoo or food processor that you may have, and you'll whip that up. After that's whipped, you'll add your sour cream, sweetened condensed milk, and your lime zest, and then you'll whip that all together in the Robocoo. And then while the Robocoo is still going, slowly add 1 cup of key lime juice and then 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. And then you will take that mixture, scrape the sides, whip it one more time, and then you'll pour it into the pie shells and let it set in the refrigerator. Best if overnight, but 2 hours it should set up. When you emulsify the key lime juice and the heavy whipping cream, that helps to make it thick. It is good on its own. It's also good with, I like it with a little strawberry sauce sometime, or just simple fresh whipped cream right on top.
Every place has a story. Stories of romance, drama, adventure, stories of life. Find your story at visitcurrituck.com.
Just across the Wright Memorial Bridge on the Currituck mainland, you'll find one-of-a-kind shopping, dining, and recreational experiences await you. Don't let memories you'll treasure pass you by on the road to the Outer Banks. Find your treasure at visitcurrituck.com.
I'm Bree Voivich. I am a surfer, a surf instructor, and a lifeguard here in Kill Devil Hills. The power of the ocean deserves everyone's respect. Even on tranquil days, hard-to-see, powerful rip currents are present up and down the coast. Every year, unsuspected swimmers find themselves in the grip of the rip. Many lose their lives. Such tragic events can be easily prevented with a few local tips. Know before you go and check the local beach forecast before heading out. Always swim near a lifeguard. And if you find yourself caught in a rip current, don't panic, float, wave, and shout until help can arrive. If you're a good swimmer, don't fight the rip. Swim parallel to the beach to break free of the current's hold. Live like a local, love the beach, respect the ocean.
Richard Etheridge was a slave who was raised on Roanoke Island. He is believed to be the son of his master, John B. Etheridge. He was born in 1842, and although he was a slave, he wasn't treated as a slave. He was raised in the Etheridge's household. He was taught to read and write. His experience was a little different than slavery as many people know it, because he was educated. Shortly after the Battle of Roanoke Island broke out here during the Civil War, he joined the 36th Regiment of Colored Troops and fought in the Civil War, and ultimately rose to the rank of a sergeant before returning back to Roanoke Island and beginning his career here. When he returned, he got married, he farmed and fished, and he joined the United States Life-Saving Service. Here in the Outer Banks, they had what's called checkerboard crews. So blacks could serve in the United States Life-Saving Service as surfman number 6, which would have been the lowest in rank. And that was no different for Richard Etheridge. He served at the Body Island Life-Saving Station, which would have been very near where the Body Island Lighthouse stands now. A pretty remarkable thing happens because Richard Etheridge was surfman number 6 for 5 years, the lowest in rank. And then in 1880, he is asked to be the keeper or the captain, the head person in charge of a neighboring station, the Pea Island Life-Saving Station. There was a shipwreck that had occurred. The former keeper of the station was accused of not handling it properly. So Etheridge was asked to take charge of that station. So he goes from the very lowest in rank to the very top in rank. It's still shortly after the Civil War. Now, the first thing that happens is the white surfmen that were left at Pea Island Station refused to work for him, couldn't work for him, didn't work for him, but so they left. This is how the all-black Pea Island Life-Saving Station starts. So the station just continually gained a reputation of being one of, if not the best station on the coast. They are most known for a rescue that occurred in October 1896, the rescue of the schooner E.S. Newman, a schooner traveling down from Providence, Rhode Island. Who's on board? The captain, his wife, his 3-year-old son, in the middle of a severe storm, a hurricane. So the captain of the E.S. Newman grounded the ship. One of the surfmen, Theodore Meekins, who was on patrol, thought he saw a flare. And he went and he grabbed Keeper Richard Etheridge, and then they see another flare. And they realize that a ship is in trouble. They couldn't launch the surf boat. They couldn't use the Lyle gun. So Etheridge basically asked for 2 volunteers, 2 of his best swimmers. And they tie ropes around themselves. And they swim out to the E.S. Newman. And while Etheridge and the other surfmen are at shore holding that line. And the rescue starts at 9 p.m. And by 1 a.m. in the morning, they had rescued all 9 on board. One of the most significant rescues probably in the history of the United States Life-Saving Service, especially considering the method that they performed the rescue. 100 years later, in March 1996, Etheridge and his crew were posthumously awarded the U.S. Coast Guard Gold Life-Saving Medal. He died at the station at 58 years old, believed to be due to malaria. But even after Etheridge died, the station continued having African-American keepers and African-American crews until it closed in 1947. Etheridge really opened the door of opportunity for so many African-American men from around here to join the United States Life-Saving Service and subsequently the United States Coast Guard.
Do we mark time by what comes before and after? Or is it this moment and what we do with it that truly matters? The Outer Banks of North Carolina starts every day with an open invitation to explore, to pursue unknown outcomes, and challenge curiosities, to stir the soul with open spaces and endless possibilities.
Connected to mainland North Carolina, yet seemingly a world away, Edenton is known as the prettiest small town in the South. Time passes slowly in the state's first colonial capital, The lure of historic sites, outdoor adventure, and friendly people draws visitors from near and far. Whether by car or boat, let our lighthouse be your beacon to a relaxing getaway on the Albemarle Sound. Find your Eden in Edenton, North Carolina, the South's prettiest small town.
Out of the darkness, it still stands, guiding mariners on their way. A beacon of light for all to see. Find your light at visitcurrituck.com.
Head up Highway 12 to where the road ends and you'll find the legendary Corolla Wild Horses, iconic historical sites, unique shopping and dining, outdoor events, and more. Take a day and find yourself here.
Columbia's a great stop when you're headed to the Outer Banks. Not only have you probably been driving a long ways to get here, you want to stretch those legs, and there's multiple, things to do that. Get out, walk around. The Scuppernong River Festival in October, it's always the second Saturday in October, is one of my favorite things. I love how everybody that seems to have a talent here comes out and gets to showcase that in one of the booths that we have. It's fun to see the parade and all the different entries in the parade. Really slow down and take in nature and take in relationships and take in just a sense of home, kind of. And I think that's really important for us.
You want to come here, they can come on the river, have a nice slow ride, relaxing ride. Once they get here, they can get out. They can walk downtown. We have all the nice little shops, the little places where time just kind of slows down a little bit for them and they don't have to rush.
What made Columbia special for me was just the beauty of this place. I mean, that's a big checkbox for me, and also just access to the beach and other little, just really sweet communities close by. But by far, the biggest thing that made me want to stick around was having access to an arts community and the people that come here, and it just made it just the perfect place for me. I would like to tell people that when they arrive here, what they're going to find is a really warm community and very walkable. And you're going to find little restaurants and Pocosin Arts galleries, things that you can enjoy, and plenty of places to sit down and just, relax, take a load off, and enjoy watching the wildlife on the river. Yeah, and coming to take a class at Pocosin, for sure.
Pocosin Lakes National Wildlife Refuge is over 110,000 acres of unique wetland called Pocosin. When people get off that boat, they can come and walk the Scuppernong River Boardwalk, and it goes through a forested wetland. Along that trail, you can see a variety of turtle species, including spotted turtles. You can also see various snake species. The amazing flyouts we have at the Pungo unit of tundra swans and other waterfowl leaving Pungo Lake for forage habitat. At least 50,000 visitors a year come to the refuge. More than that actually come into the visitor center on their way out to the beach.
And as for the people coming on the harbor town, I hope that when they come in, that they see this whole waterfront, and it's going to be nice, and it's going to be like, wow, we got to check that place out. Look how cool it looks. I just want them to be able to say, hey, this is Columbia. We need to stop here.
Nothing beats a day at the beach, but the power of the ocean deserves everyone's respect. So if you plan on going for a swim when the surf is rough,
why risk it? When in doubt, just stay out.
But if you do decide to take a dip,
warning flags are flying for a reason. Listen to the lifeguards. Stay out.
Hey ladies, if you're an experienced swimmer and think you can safely handle the surf,
even the most experienced swimmers can get caught in a rip current and swept out to sea. Stay on the shoreline.
if the waves are rough, be sure to take a flotation device, such as a raft or a bodyboard.
Rafting boards aren't designed to save your life. If the surf is rough, just play it safe and stay out.
Well, there you have it. Make sure your Outer Banks vacation is a memorable one for all the right reasons.
Know before you go by checking the daily OBX beach conditions forecast. Watch for rip current warnings and listen to the lifeguard. When the red flags are flying, stay safe by staying on the beach and out of the water.
Live like a local and love the beach, respect the ocean.
Oh, hello, Santa here at the Christmas shop and general store. Our elves have been busy again with all kinds of new rooms full of ornaments and gifts, like Whoville, the wondering world of Harry Potter, a new coastal room full of everything coastal like shells and glass ball ornaments, and a new room dedicated to everything Outer Banks, so you can take some of our magic back home with you. You have to come see it for yourself. 25,000 square feet of Christmas magic.
Whether you're here for a week or one long weekend, explore nature surrounded by the ocean and beside the ones you love. Welcome to the Currituck Outer Banks.
The Jolly Roger is bigger and better. Our incredible new bar is the best venue on the beach for great entertainment, gaming tables, and emptying and ends.
No one takes care of locals better than the Jolly Roger, with special discounts every day on breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
The menu has it all with huge portions at affordable prices and plenty of room for large parties. Always casual, relaxed, and loads of fun.
The bigger and better Jolly Roger.
It's classic Outer Banks.
At the Nags Head Town Hall, just outside on the lawn, sits a shipwreck. The wreck was first spotted in 1975, uncovering itself on the beach a mile south of Whalebone Junction. In 1978, during a storm, the wreck was dislodged and drifted north to Jeanette's Pier, where it battered pilings, destroying 9, until finally washing ashore. Subsequently, with the help of multiple agencies, the wreck was moved to where it lies now. Since then, the shipwreck has been researched in great detail by archaeologist Nathan Richards from East Carolina University.
We started to study the Nags Head wreck because it's sitting there, and it's not very often you see a shipwreck in a parking lot. And being an educator in relation to maritime archaeology and maritime history, and working at UNC Coastal Studies Institute and with East Carolina University, it's a great opportunity for my students to see how a ship of this era is constructed without having to put their scuba gear on. It's also very interesting because it had an identity. As we looked into this, sort of in the process of doing reconnaissance on a range of different shipwrecks up and down the coast, it became pretty clear that there's a lot of potential candidates that it could be. It's pretty clear it's not the Francis E. Waters, which is the name it got stuck with. And so it's a bit of a mystery story, and then archaeologists like to use their detective skills and thinking about all the different evidence that we can collate in order to come to our conclusions. And of course, even having the mystery is really important and really interesting to me, because it is the graveyard of the Atlantic, and we like to think we know all the wrecks. There's thousands of shipwrecks. There's, probably over 5,000, maybe 6,000. We don't really know. So it's a continuing sort of interesting story about the past coming back and visiting the beach. So if you deconstruct the history of the wreck from the records that we know, and this is predominantly from the underwater archaeology branch's site files, the wreck showing up in the 1970s, and it's a bigger wreck than the piece that we see today. So over time, it's broken apart during the wrecking event, and then it's continued to sort of come to pieces until it's placed in the parking lot in the front of the town hall. So trying to convey that information to the public is really interesting. A few years ago, a student at ECU, David Butaro, a master's student, he did a reconstruction project on this. And that was really illuminating because it doubled down on this idea that it can't be the Francis E. Waters. The Francis E. Waters is a 149-ton vessel, whereas the Timbers suggests something much larger, something in the range of 1,200 to 1,500 tons. And so right now we're pursuing a project to look at its current state of preservation and to see if we can perhaps do some time-lapse measurement. And my hope is that that's also going to let us re-examine the way that that vessel was constructed and draw us back into the historical record. And so while we're not setting ourselves the goal of definitively identifying the wreck, we're hoping that future study might inadvertently identify the wreck. And that's really exciting for me because then you have the opportunity to open a whole new chapter, sort of the story of the wreck. It might be a surprising vessel. It might be a vessel with a very rich history, and invariably, whatever it is, it's still part of Outer Banks maritime history. So we're planning on doing this over the next 12 months, planning a project, and then starting to do some three-dimensional modeling of the site to help us fulfill these aims. As an archaeologist, I'm interested in the preservation of these kinds of sites, really anywhere. And so we see this having experimental potential. What can we learn about the state of preservation of this vessel? Can we help stabilize it, or can we come to decisions about its future? That will hopefully have some bearing on the future of the Nag's Head wreck, but we could learn some things that we could extrapolate and infer onto other wrecks, whether it's another wreck somewhere sitting in a similar situation, whether it's a wreck about to be pulled out of the beach for some reason, and we can learn from the history of what's happened to the Nag's Head wreck. So there's layers of reasons to care about it, I think.
Take a tour of an Outer Banks icon and experience what life was like here in the Roaring '20s. Whalehead in historic Corolla Park is a beautifully restored Art Nouveau masterpiece and museum located on the Currituck Sound. For tour information, go to visitwhalehead.com.
Despite what you've heard, 911 cannot locate you immediately when calling from a cell phone. Do you know the street address of your location in the event of an emergency? When you call 911, we don't either, unless you can tell us.
In a world of ordinary vacations, live the extraordinary. Book the real Outer Banks.
So every lifeguard stand, you'll find a rip current sign with some information. Every public access should have those rip current signs as well. Rip currents account for about 80% of our rescues, and we can see approximately 200 to 300 rescues due to rip currents every season. A rip current is a long, narrow, strong current of water flowing out to sea. So basically, as water comes in and waves come in, those waves are going to break on the shallow sandbars, and you're going to see them white cap and that water moving in. All that water and all that energy coming in has to make its way back out. So it's going to find these deep pockets, these breaks in the sandbar where all that water can collect and funnel back out. So you might see it's deeper, it's a darker discolor. You might see foam pulling back out, and it'll kind of look like a river flowing back out to sea when it's strong. A big thing we can say is talk to your lifeguard, ask them where the rip currents are that day, let them show you where they are, how you spot them, and then having flotation is one of the biggest things. Always kind of have something with you out when you're in the ocean that you can float on. A boogie board, a life vest, a surfboard, anything that could float you if you find yourself in trouble. Yeah, so if you find yourself in a rip current, biggest thing is don't panic. A lot of rescues become worse when people start to panic. They try to fight the current back in and they overexhaust themselves. So back to flotation, that's the biggest thing we try to harp on, having something you can float on, and you could sit out there as long as you need until we can come help you out of it. A lot of new studies are showing that rip currents often cycle people back in. So you might find yourself drift out of that rip and be able to catch a wave back in, or you might find it cycle you back to a shallow spot where you can walk on in. And then the other thing we've always used to say is swim parallel to shore. So if you swim laterally parallel along the shore, you can find yourself to one of those shallower sandbars where you can swim or walk in and you're not fighting that rip current.
Welcome to Jeanette's Pier, the family fishing spot on the Outer Banks. Make memories for a lifetime while reeling in the catch of the day. From bottom fishing for spot and croaker to jigging for bluefish and Spanish mackerel, experience the thrill of catching a fish from this 1,000-foot-long concrete ocean fishing pier located at milepost 16.5 in Nags Head. Have fun in the sun while fishing with your friends and family. Surf, sun, fish, and fun. Experience it all at Jeanette's Pier, where fishing is catching.
Do we mark time by what comes before and after? Or is it this moment and what we do with it that truly matters? The Outer Banks of North Carolina starts every day with an open invitation to explore, to pursue unknown outcomes, and challenge curiosities, to stir the soul with open spaces and endless possibilities.
Let's talk quality. Benchmade quality from American hardwoods and handcrafted in the USA. That's the Benchmade collection from Bassett, exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture. Each piece is meticulously crafted from Appalachian maple, cherry, or oak, and made to order one at a time by American artisans in Bassett, Virginia. From a live edge table to a sharp modern edge, Benchmade has your look. Find the Benchmade collection from Bassett exclusively at Outer Banks Furniture, Milepost 1 in Kitty Hawk.
Tide's starting to come in now.
What's up, guys? Looks like you found a good spot for us.
Yeah! Hey! I see mullet.
There's more to the story at rawobx.com.
The water is what brought us here. It's our way of life, our playground. The water is what keeps us coming back. Find your calm at visitcurrituck.com.
Treasure memories in Corolla Outer Banks. Go to CorollaNC.com.
welcome to the Body Island Lighthouse located on Cape Hatteras National Seashore in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. My name is Ranger Mark, and today I'm going to take you on a tour up to the top. A little bit of history before we get started. This is not the first or second Body Island Lighthouse that was built here in the Outer Banks, but it was actually the third. The first Body Island Lighthouse was built on an unstable foundation, and it didn't take long for that lighthouse to slowly start sinking into the sand and becoming off-plumb. The Lighthouse Board decided they needed to completely deconstruct that first Body Island Lighthouse and begin plans for a second one. The second Body Island Lighthouse was built in 1859 and was set to be a long-lasting lighthouse if it weren't for the American Civil War. Confederate troops lost the Battle of Cape Hatteras in August of 1861, and as they retreated out of the Outer Banks, they decided they're going to pack that second Body Island Lighthouse full of dynamite and blow it up. 6 years after the end of the Civil War, we bought this plot of land from a gentleman named John B. Etheridge in 1871 for $150 and started construction. This lighthouse was finished and first lit October 1st, 1872. The man tasked with igniting that first light was a gentleman by the name of William F. Hassel. So let's go in and walk those same steps that he did over 149 years ago. As you walk down the hallway, you'll notice this black and white marble flooring that was brought here from Baltimore, Maryland. It really highlights the fact that the Lighthouse Board, when building these lighthouses, not only built it for a sense of function, but they really wanted to show pride in these lighthouses and make them architectural treasures. As you enter into the base of the lighthouse, you're getting ready to climb up the iron staircase. But if you look back, you'll see the name, and this island has gone through multiple different name changes, and that kind of drives the point of contention on how you would pronounce this lighthouse's name. But here in the Outer Banks, we do pronounce it Body. As you climb the staircase, you'll notice that they're separated by 8 of these individual landings that allow you to stop and take a break. As you reach landing 2, we're about 42 feet up in the air. As you climb, you'll also notice markings on the support beams labeled Phoenix Iron Company. That is because all of the iron used came from Phoenix Iron Works out of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. As you reach landing 5, we're about roughly at the halfway point of your climb. You can stop, take a look out of our window at the double keeper's quarters before you make the rest of your trip up. As you make it to landing 8, you'll come into what the lighthouse keepers called the watch room. The watch room has a northeast-southwest facing window to provide a full 360-degree view for these lighthouse keepers, so they can stay here and look out for ships in distress or be available if the light needed maintenance. This is the last landing before we get to the balcony. Welcome up, you made it. Feel free to walk all around the balcony, and as you walk around, really take in the sights and sounds of the Outer Banks. You'll not only get an amazing view of the Atlantic Ocean and the Pamlico Sound, you'll really get a good idea of what the Outer Banks looked like and what these lighthouse keepers saw over 150 years ago. One last thing I'll show you before we head back down, and that is the lantern room where we keep the first order Fresnel lens that sits atop the Body Island Lighthouse. Our first order Fresnel lens is the largest order of Fresnel lenses built and features 336 individual glass prisms brought here from Paris, France over 150 years ago, used to magnify and refract light out to be seen up to 19 miles out to sea. The first order Fresnel lens was an invention created by French physicist Augustin Fresnel in the early 1800s. Thank you for visiting Cape Hatteras National Seashore, and thank you for climbing with us. We hope to see you next season.
Surrounded by water, Currituck and the people of the Outer Banks have been shaped and defined by its rich coastal and maritime history. Here in Corolla, on the edge of the Atlantic, where roads give way to endless water, legendary local craftsmen designed and built these boats and taught generations of Northeast North Carolinians how to take to the sea and sound to find prosperity. From duck hunting, to fishing, to guiding, to saving lives off the coast, these hardy people both endured and celebrated life on the water. The Currituck Maritime Museum tells the stories of Currituck's boat-building forefathers, their remarkable craft, and the enduring legacy they left behind on how to live life and thrive on the waters here. Discover the newest addition to historic Corolla Park. Find yourself here. Visit CurrituckMaritimeMuseum.com.
Did you know that weed slows reaction time and impairs motor skills and coordination? Weed also disrupts learning and problem-solving skills. Whether you're a basketball player, surfer, skater, or student with other life goals, Outer Banks Hope Coalition reminds you to live life in focus. Don't let weed blur your dreams.
Chickamaucomico Life Saving Station was first built in 1874, and it was a way to help people who were distressed in the shipping lanes. Back then, that was the highway, and everything was done by the sea.
We live up to our nickname, the Graveyard of the Atlantic. There was a long history of shipwrecks that resulted in a need of, yes, we need to get stations out there.
The mission of the Life Saving Service was to save people from a land-based operation. This is the place where Chickamaucomico Life Saving Station was. It's where the rescues were performed. It's where the men lived. It pretty much was the beginning of a professional life-saving service in the United States.
So this is the 1874 building. This is the first of the 7 original life-saving stations built on the coast of North Carolina. So this one is very special. It was replaced in 1911 by our 1911 station, which is much larger, had room for more of the surfmen to not so much be in a large bunk room, but maybe just have a couple of guys in each room.
On site, there are 2 cookhouses, 1 per station. They use the cookhouses for various reasons. Obviously, cooking kept fire away from a wooden building. It provided warmth from the fire, so they used them also as shower houses.
And then we have a house that was donated to us in 2006 by the Midget family, and it was the home of Captain Cornelius Midget, the older brother of our own Captain John Allen Midget Jr., and that little house we call the Midget House.
We are the only station in the U.S. Life Saving Service history that is a complete site. In no other place in America can you go to and see the accurate history that you see here.
In particular, the reenactment, we do it to the T. We do everything as if we are training as they did 150 years ago.
And what you see here at Chickamaucomico is not a reenactment of a rescue. It is a reenactment of the training that they did to prepare themselves for a rescue. That's why it's called the beach apparatus drill. But just like they did, we do it on Thursday afternoons at 2 o'clock. Most of our displays are on loan from families or from other organizations, most from families who have gotten granddad's medal or uniform or whatever the case may be.
We have artifacts from shipwrecks. We have some documents, we have photographs, we have equipment that was used in the past, and we have the buildings. This is a museum of place. This is where it happened. You can walk out on the beach and know that you're walking in the footsteps of people who rescued people that they never saw before and would never see again.
The most famous rescue out of this station was in 1918. The British tanker Merlot was torpedoed about 5 miles offshore here. Captain John Allen Midget and the surfmen from Chickamaucomico took this boat that you see behind me, surf boat number 1046. They rowed out to that ship, which was carrying a load of kerosene at the time, so the sea was on fire when Captain John Allen and his crew managed to rescue 42 of the 51 British sailors on board the Merlot. It still remains today one of the most decorated maritime rescues in American history. The Chickamauga Historical Association is comprised of a board of directors. We have 2 employees.
Our mission is to tell the story of the men who served here and to preserve the buildings that they served in.
This is the 150th anniversary of the introduction of professional life-saving to the coast of North Carolina.
We're planning to have guided tours of the Kennekeet Station. We're going to have this station open for tours. We're going to have a search and rescue demonstration from the Coast Guard, which is, of course, we're their foundation. So lots of different things going on throughout that weekend.
It is a place that the whole family can enjoy. We do have family discount. We're open basically from around mid to late March, right on through Thanksgiving. And our hours of operation are from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
As a nonprofit organization, we do rely a lot of the funds and the resources through donations, sponsorships. You can actually sign up to become a monthly sponsor or a yearly sponsor.
We're always looking for folks who want to volunteer from very little to a whole lot. There's always a spot to fill. Go to chickamauga.org. Our website is right there with all the contact information. They can call the station. We check our machines regularly.
So anything you can do, we can put you to work.
These heroes, we call them the forgotten heroes because they just kind of fell by the wayside. The history, the way that they put their lives on the line to save their fellow man, it's just too important to let it go away.
Just across the Wright Memorial Bridge, you'll find one-of-a-kind experiences await you. Don't let memories you'll treasure pass you by on the road to the Outer Banks. Take a day and find yourself on the Currituck mainland.
Nothing beats a day at the beach, but the power of the ocean deserves everyone's respect, no matter how experienced you may be. My name is Merrick Dabrowski, one of the chief lifeguards for Dare County's beaches. The force of the surf can catch unsuspecting swimmers off guard, and strong rip currents can sweep even the strongest swimmers far away from the safety of the shoreline. Even if you're an experienced swimmer, remember that you're still no match for Mother Nature. Rip currents account for roughly 80% of ocean rescues, but you can prevent yourself from being caught in one by following a few local tips. Know before you go by checking the daily OBX Beach Conditions National Weather Service forecast. 2, always swim near a lifeguard. 3, never swim alone. And 4, watch for red flags and rip current warnings. And if you see another swimmer in distress, notify a lifeguard and call 911. And if you ever feel compelled to assist a family member in distress, be sure to have a flotation device with you. Make sure your Outer Banks vacation is a memorable one for all the right reasons. We want you, your family, and friends to go home safely. Live like a local. Love the beach, respect the ocean.
Welcome to Currituck County, the gateway to the Outer Banks. Nestled into the northeasternmost corner of North Carolina, Currituck County stretches from coastal beaches across the breathtaking Currituck Sound to the mainland, with its abundant farmland rich with produce.